I thank you very much for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast. Today, what if the only thing standing between you and business ownership is the belief that you're not qualified? Today's guest, David, he's going to share his journey into franchising without a traditional business background and reveals what it really takes to step into ownership for the first time. Like a lot of you that are listening, let's talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Again, I thank you very much for tuning in today. So, our guest, he proves that business ownership isn't reserved for the formally trained. It's available to the committed, the coachable, and the courageous. So, David, when you first considered becoming a franchisee, did you feel prepared or did you simply decide to become prepared?
That's a good question. I think there's a long story before that.
Yeah.
Without a business background,
Mm-hmm.
I played golf. I thought I was going to be a professional golfer,
Okay.
and here an accident took me down a different route. I went the corporate world, kind of 9 to 5 at a bank, and then I found an opportunity in a small niche that I saw that was underdeserved, which is the portable restroom trailer industry.
Mm-hmm.
My business, Royal Restrooms, was envisioned in 2003 from a horrible experience taking my daughters to a porta-john while they were potty training. And out of that experience, I just asked the question, why? Why is it everything is so beautiful at these events? Why are we, it's the 21st century. Why are we still going to the bathroom like the Romans? Like, this is kind of ridiculous. I like to wash my hands. I don't want to see somebody else's poo.
Right.
This is something that's a very private moment and necessary moment in our lives. So why not have it elevated? Thinking about that, I sat on it for about a year and I pondered it. And like most people with business aspirations, they sit on things and they try to make sure that everything is perfect until that final moment. It was really my business partner. I was sharing my concept with him, Robert Glisson, and he was kind of like, let's do this. This is awesome. Like we can do this. And in 2004, we started Royal Restrooms, and we became the first portable restroom trailer company in the country. And we started out as licensing the business model, and then we turned it into a franchise in 2008. And right now we have roughly 40 offices across 18 different states, and we're, going strong, looking to build more.
So you're talking about something that is so simple, right? It appears to be simple,
Yes.
and out of a need, So again, just like yourself, I'm a father as well. I have one daughter, one son, and sometimes, the bathrooms aren't created equal.
Yes.
Depending on, who, which bathroom you're going in, trying to help and serve and whatever you're trying to do with your children. And sometimes it don't feel sanitary. It doesn't feel safe, whatever it might be. But because it's such a simple idea, sometimes we overlook changing something that feels so simple and mundane. So can you explain that idea or that feeling? Because we think that it has to be such a monumental, blow up the world mentality. So something simple.
Yeah, well, it is something simple. And my belief going back and looking through all of this is so many people said, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think to do this?
Right.
Well, it's because it was something that you were so accustomed to that you didn't think that there was another option.
Mm.
When I went into this Porta-John, you know, I had never thought about it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a little different for us. Um, but when I took her in there and it was her first time going, it was very much like, ooh, don't touch anything. I
I know,
cannot
right?
believe you just grabbed the seat, you know? And it so happened that I had my other daughter on my hip. I was holding my other daughter trying to help this one. We were cramped in this Porta-John,
Mm-hmm.
trying not to touch anything,
Right.
like praying that we were not going to touch anything.
Right.
And it's dark in there. There's no lights. I end up having to hand Cece out to some stranger
Mm-hmm.
outside, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm holding Stella above the toilet, and I like am trying to watch the other one. And the next thing I know, I'm getting peed on. Um,
Wow.
not, you know,
I know that feeling.
first time ever getting peed on, and you go from like cautious and nervous to upset.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I left because there was nowhere to wash my hands, there was nowhere to clean up, there was nowhere to do anything. Went home and drew out my half bath, and I said, you know what? There's RVs. We had these massive
Mm-hmm.
trailers on the big tour, these 53 footers that were nice. Why can't we just do something small? Like I said, there's RVs, there's boats, all of them have bathrooms in it. Why can't we just put this on a small trailer? And what we essentially created was a real functioning restroom
Mm-hmm.
just on a trailer. So we have flushing toilets. It's climate controlled. We have a vanity, sink, mirror, paper towels, toilet paper,
Mm-hmm.
a private stall. You walk in and it's just like a normal bathroom. It's just portable and on a trailer.
Mm. So because it's coming from a simple place, as you stated, we're just accustomed to this. Hey, you know what? We have these porta potties over here for construction workers. We have, like you said, even some in a concert. Whatever the situation is, we've just been accustomed to this process. And again, we don't take something simple and think outside the box. You know, I mean, your life experience was, hey, you know what? I don't like getting peed on.
Yeah, and you know, it nobody should, or at least I would think not.
Right, right.
But the whole concept is if so many times we think that we don't like something,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kind of just continue to not like it,
Right.
and we just deal with it. Those are the concepts of, hey, how can I make this better? How can I do something a little different? How can I make this a little more pleasant for myself? Look at those ideas,
Mm-hmm.
fashion those, because if you're thinking that it's uncomfortable for you or you don't like this, odds are other people are in agreement with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Take that, because it will transform into a business if you truly think about that you found a solution to something.
Mm.
Those are your ideas that that change the world, that
Mm.
make the big differences, and it makes you passionate about what it is that you're doing as well.
Mm. And see, I think there's a key word right there that I was going to go into: passion. Sometimes people feel like, hey, I have to have an extreme passion for something to go into business. And I found that people that have a real true passion for a long period of time could kind of feel burnt out because it doesn't come out the way they expected
Mhm.
for it to, things like that. But you're saying, hey, you know what? I just have a passion for at least protecting my family, right? At least with something like that. So do you have to have that type of energy towards a particular topic or a subject or issue for that long a period of time? Because again, people feel like they need to be totally invested in this, since they were born.
Yeah, well, I think you bring up a great point. So many people continue to be so hyper focused that they forget to change, they forget to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant learning process. If you're not learning, you're just kind of staying stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stay that way, somebody either passes you or you get burned out or
Right.
it gets boring. You have to
Mm-hmm.
continue to find new ways to elevate your product yourself, whether that's going out into the community, going to do emergency response. There's a bunch of, we find new avenues within our business every year that we didn't think about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's kind of cool. You
Mm.
never know what you're going to end up doing. So as long as you don't stay on your same original idea, just expand upon it and keep trying to change, and that will keep things interesting. And it's like that with everything, friends, life, hobbies. You keep going, you keep
Right.
finding that passion.
So with that being said, because you also stated that, hey, you know what, you had this idea, you sat on it for a year, right? And so with that, did you find yourself having to deal with any internal hesitations before totally committing to that? That if you would have gave into it, your idea would have never happened.
Probably so. I think in most people that I speak to now, talking about business and different things, I'm not a coach by any means, but I enjoy talking to people that are starting out, that are in those beginning stages, because you see that enthusiasm and fire that they've got, and you're like, man, I wish I could just bottle that up. But so many people sit on it because there are so many naysayers, in the back of their head, their friends. You don't necessarily get that true support that you're looking for, but you're also trying to make it foolproof. There's nothing foolproof.
Right.
You're not going to master it without trying anything, without testing anything. They think that, put the product out there, test it, find out what works, what doesn't work, pivot. Don't be so stuck on one thing. But get out there and do it. If you don't try it, you never had the opportunity to find out if it was good or not. And then you watch somebody else do what you were planning to do for all those years.
So for your business, for those individuals that are on the fence about entrepreneurship and not sure what to invest in, when it comes to your organization, being a franchisee, what would you suggest to someone that's a first-time entrepreneur, maybe thinking like, what, David, I don't know exactly if my passion is going to get me to that place, but let me, is there a way that, hey, if I invested in what you have going on and bring it to my area of the country, or, whatever it might be, what would you say to that first-time entrepreneur to say, hey, if this is a real viable path for them?
Well, going back to that passion, what is your ultimate goal? Is it money? Is it to provide some kind of legacy? Is it to support your family so that you can spend more time with your family? Just because you don't necessarily have to have a passion about your job per se, but there could be another reason to do the different businesses. My business, it's a very family-friendly lifestyle. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of weddings. We do concerts. We do business remodels. So there's a bunch of different avenues where a lot of people's experience can come into play, even if they are not in the portable restroom industry. Every one of my operators, myself included, we had no knowledge of the portable sanitation industry. But what we did have was high expectations and people's confidence. We took an industry that has traditionally been handed down by family and small business to a little bit more of a professional level. We went in it from that side that, hey, we're gonna be part of your event, not just a piece of your event. We're gonna help elevate that whole experience. We want going to a Royal restroom to be a Regal restroom experience.
So, because, our listeners, they're first-time entrepreneurs, and they're a little skittish. Some people have been a little skittish, as they have expressed to me. They're, one, not sure of their passion, if it's going to make money for them. But they also are concerned about, hey, you know what? In order for me to walk into this room, I feel like I need to have a PhD in, business or whatever it is. And so can you explain about for yourself what that experience has been like? Did you feel intimidated? Were you feeling like you didn't belong? Even in this industry that you're going in, did you feel like you need to have a certain level of education or skill just to move forward?
Yeah, I think we all do. I think that's kind of one of those fears. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I had no business background. I graduated with a political science degree and an international relations degree. Absolutely not necessary for any kind of business. But, I learned some pretty decent people skills,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, from that. And going into a business, it's, like I said, you're constantly learning. You're a
Right.
coach. You, it's okay to continue to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But having that all of that necessarily education, even hands-on experience, everything is taught to you. It is
Mm-hmm.
learned over time. And the great thing is you find your comfort zone and what works for you. What works
Mm-hmm.
for you may not work for somebody else. And a lot of times, even within my franchises, hey, guys, we may have different paths, but our goal is the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're all trying to achieve the same thing from a customer service standpoint to a financial standpoint to a delivery standpoint. We're
Mm-hmm.
all, but we all may do it a little bit differently. And there's nothing wrong with doing things different and your way, because that's how it's comfortable to you and the way that you interact with others.
Mm. So with you coming from a different perspective on how we use the restroom, right? And and from that experience from
Hmm.
your daughters, like you said, it was a really traumatic, time. So can you explain, since you've started this company, what has been one of the most beautiful experiences you've had, or the most what, I really have gone the right direction with this organization. What can you give us that idea in that space?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and one of the things that has always come to the forefront is we have always tried to be very inclusive and being on that front side
Mm.
with um, handicap accessible, ADA accessible
Mm.
trailers. We tried to make sure that all of those were the same. We made family rooms, we made showers, we did a bunch of those different things. But I believe it. I was in Kroger
Mm.
and I was in the checkout line and I had my logo on my shirt. I think that's very important,
Right, right,
branded all the time.
right.
And the cashier stopped and she said, "Do you work for Royal Restrooms?" And immediately I was like, "Oh no." Like what, like, oh my gosh, like what's going on?
Right.
And she said, "We went to a festival this weekend and you had your restrooms out there.
Mm.
And my grandmother is in a wheelchair. And one of the
Wow.
things is she does not ever like going to this. And we wanted her to come because her grandchildren were performing at this choir event. And it's always been a struggle and a faux pas with her.
Mm.
We went to your bathrooms and she went to the bathroom all by herself and she rolled in.
Mm.
She said that it was the most nice thing. And to all of us, it touched
Hmm.
us that y'all went
Mm-hmm.
further in trying to do something for something that is less than the 1%, I guess. And she walked
Mm.
around and said, "Can I give you a hug? I you made our entire weekend." And
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not explaining it as well because I get a little choked up about it because she
Look.
was a lot more heartfelt and gracious and just she could not say enough about how happy she was for her grandmother.
Mm.
And that's one of those impactful moments
Mm-hmm.
that's like, wow, I did something
Mm-hmm.
kind of pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, and as I'm listening to you, I could just imagine, again, in the green room, you and I were talking about our elderly family members and kind of
Hmm.
some of the things we're going through. And you're like, hey, you want to continue to have them feel empowered, right? Having them continue to feel like they have independence. And something like that, something as small as that, it feels small when you initially do something, right? But to actually, hey, you know what? I get to hear the
Yeah.
impact that I have really made on this family. It's not just one person, but it's the whole family that is empowering. That feels, fantastic. And I appreciate you and I applaud you, David, and your your co-founder on what y'all have done and how y'all have really changed just that family, because that could ultimately change your whole community, if not the world, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, you deserve it. I mean, because that's something that's, again, when we think out, again, as we had started in the very beginning of the show, we get caught up in staying in the box, right? Staying with the traditional, staying with the same old, it is what it is mentality, just taking something so simple and just elevating it to another place. And so I think that's what you have truly, truly shown us today on this episode. I appreciate it, Dave.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
No problem. And so for those individuals that are listening, whether or not they are, in that blue stall somewhere listening to this episode, how can they find you and talk to you about upgrading to the next level of life?
Well, we would love to you just to visit us on our website at royalrestrooms.com. We're on all the social media platforms under Royal Restrooms. I can personally be found on LinkedIn under David Sauers, and then I've got a webpage for David Sauers. It's not really for business purposes, but to try to help people find me and help somebody go to the next level.
Nice. And of course, everyone, his information will be in the show notes, so you don't have to go very far if you listen to this. So when you need to sit down somewhere, you can find it. But David, before I let you go, I have to ask you my world famous question that I ask everybody, my would you rather question. So, would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road? And keep in mind, just use your imagination.
Well, I'm going to go with the 3 doors because I think too often people find themselves with either one way or the other way. There's always another opportunity. There's always another door that you can go into. And, having only 2 options, there's always that third, I feel like. So I'm going to go with the 3 doors.
Cool. I appreciate that because a lot of times, some people feel overwhelmed by having more options, but sometimes they don't understand that there's always another way to get to your desired destination as well. So I thank you very much for sharing today.
Yes, sir. Maurice, I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. And of course, everyone, I thank y'all very much for listening to That Will Nevr Work podcast. But before you go, I want you to identify one opportunity you've dismissed because you felt unqualified. Also, take one action this week that moves you closer to ownership, even if it's just a conversation. And I'll talk to you just a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chisholm on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work.